Welcome to FYI. I'm Barry ZeVAN, and my guest today is a lady who is so well known to many people, most people here in the Twin Cities, and should be known worldwide. And now with YouTube, she will be. She's a great actress with whom I've had the pleasure to know for many, many years. Greta Grosch, welcome.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Wonderful to have you. And there's so much about which to talk. Not only your theater experience, which is vast, but also the fact that you and I both belong to a union called Actors Equity Association. Mm-hmm. And it's one of the actual 4 unions to which performers belong. Mm-hmm. I'm in 2 others. I don't know how many others you're in, but anyway, you, excuse the voice here, you actually shepherd the union here in this market. First of all, why don't we talk about unions and then about your career?
So the Actors Equity is the union for stage actors and stage managers, and it was started back in the 1900s, so it's well over 100 years old. And it's a way for, like so many other things are unionized. Teachers are unionized, steel workers are unionized, but actors weren't unionized. So it was a way for actors to come together to regulate things like working conditions and pay and time off and all of that. So it's pretty exciting. There are 55,000 members of Actors Equity in the United States. There's also an Actors Equity in Canada. There's an Actors Equity in the UK. And we here in the Twin Cities are what's considered a liaison city. So our office cities are Chicago, LA, and New York. And there are a lot of union actors also in Orlando because Disney's down there, so they got their own little thing going on down there. But here in the Twin Cities, we have, I would say, about 550 members of Actors Equity. And so what that means is, as an actor, our job is itinerant. Like, we work for the length of a contract. And a contract might be 3 weeks, it might be 5 months if you're lucky, as I have been. I've had some contracts that are maybe 2 years long, which is pretty great. But, and like even on Broadway, a general contract is only 6 months. So what that means is we are always looking for work, and we are always working for different people. We don't have one employer. So here in the Twin Cities, a union actor might work for the Guthrie, then they might work at Old Log, then they might work for Theatre Latte Da, then they might work at the History Theater. So all of these employers, they're different employers. And so how does an actor get like health insurance? How does an actor have a pension plan? Because we aren't full-time for any one person. So that's what the umbrella of the union can do, so that every theater that I work for has to pay in to the union, and so the union can sort of protect me in that way. So it's pretty great, and there are pros and cons to being a union member, as you know, because once you're a union member, that means you're not supposed to. You can't work non-union. So we have a lot of theater here in the Twin Cities. There are like 77 professional theaters here in the Twin Cities, and 28 of them offer union contracts. So that means the pool of places that I can work is limited. So it's good and bad. It's great because I have these protections. It's great because I am a professional actor, and so that means that when an audience member comes to see the show and their ticket goes to help support me as an actor, thank you, audience members, and the stage managers, you're supporting them as well. But it also means that there are lots of places that I can't work. So a lot of people in the Twin Cities, non-union people, they might work for a stipend or an honorarium, and then they have other day jobs during the day. So it's tricky. As you know, going into this business is crazy because the last thing that you have is job security. So when I was in college, I had a director who's, many directors say this, if you can imagine yourself doing anything else, do that. Because job security is not the name of the game. I'm in a show right now with a young woman who's 25. And so right now, for the 2 months or whatever that we're working together, she has a job and she has a salary. But on the other days, she works at a donut shop and she nannies. Like, you have to fill in the gaps with all these other crazy jobs. Mm-hmm. Here I'm just doing my one-woman show over here, but
I'm glad you are.
And so I've been lucky that I've also been able to supplement my career as I'm part of the Church Basement Ladies, which is a series of musicals that have originated here in Minnesota back in 2005. And I'm the writer and also an original cast member of those. So that's one of the ways that I've been able to continue to make it in this business, is because I'm constantly finding new ways to supplement my income and to supplement my experience. So like I said, with the Church Basement Ladies, these shows originate here in the Twin Cities, and then they've been licensed in 48 states and Canada.
Wow.
So we're an international hit. And so even as we tape this now, there is a tour of one of the shows going on. There are regional theaters around the country that do the shows, and I'm currently working on number 8 in the series.
Oh,
That's
wow.
right, we're on 8.
Oh my
Yes,
goodness.
I know it is.
Well, for those of you in the audience who have seen Church Basement Ladies, whatever iteration, number 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, it's one of the greatest shows ever. And our friend Kurt Wallen, Kurt produced and directed it, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And he had gotten access to the material. It's all based on the lives of these 2 Minnesota women. They grew up, living this life, and so Kurt got access to them, their lives, as source material. So, like I said, that first Church Basement Ladies was back in 2005, and Kurt Wallen has been the director and the producer for all of them.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Yeah, it is. I call him my boss, but because it's fun to have somebody else who's, responsible if it doesn't go well.
Oh, for sure. It'd be interesting to see how Minnesota resonates with other parts of the country and how it's accepted. Apparently, it's been very, very accepted.
Yeah, like I said, the show has been done all around the country. The only place that hasn't really played well was in Nashville. I did a production of it in Nashville, Tennessee. And in the South, it's just a different way of thinking about life. It's just a different way of approaching. So they thought it was funny, but they didn't really get it. That's the only place that hasn't resonated. But in terms of, it's a group of people that come together, and sort of the values of, whether it's, we happen to be Lutheran, Minnesota rural Lutherans, but I did the show in upstate New York, and our audience was very Jewish, and they also loved it because they understand these strong personality types. They understand the hierarchy of a group of women, whether it's a book club or a church basement or, quilters. They understand the lunch ladies. They understand sort of that hierarchy. So the show has done, we haven't been to Alaska or Hawaii yet, so I'd like to get those on my resume.
Absolutely. Alaska in the summertime, though.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I always knew that the Twin Cities was one of the strongest theater communities in the country, but I didn't realize how many theaters, 28 equity theaters, my goodness.
Yeah, and what that means is, so there are lots of ways, again, here in the Twin Cities, where we're a hybrid. And so, as I mentioned, I talk about being a union actor and having union theaters. But we're also what's kind of a hardship state, because we don't have that many union theaters. So that theaters do it kind of, like I said, like a hybrid. So like a show at the History Theater, if they have 8 people in the show, they only need a percentage of them to be union actors. So they could have, like, these numbers aren't exactly correct, but they might have 5 union actors in it and 3 non-union actors in it. So it's a way that, so everybody can work, and we're always working together. Union and non-union actors are always working together in partnership, which is great. And traditionally, what happens is that when somebody comes out of college, they want to work their way up to getting their union card. This is sort of a stereotypical dream. I go to college, I'm in some plays, or I go to high school and I'm in some plays and I want to be a big star. And then I, cut my teeth in the Twin Cities and get some experience, and then I move to LA or New York or Chicago and become a big Broadway star. That's sort of one path. But a lot of people, even if they go and do that, they end up coming back to the Twin Cities because it's a great place to live and it's a great place to work. And it's not only because we have 28 union theaters, and we can, again, union actors can get special contracts, guest artist or special appearance contracts to work at some of these other incredible non-union theaters. but it's also because we have an amazing audience, and the support is there, and the money is there to support the arts. We recently had Arts Advocacy Day here in Minnesota, and it was the first time I participated. And I went to the Capitol, and over the course of that morning, every single one of our state representatives in the Senate and in the House were visited by members of the arts community in Minnesota. And they were like actors, dancers, painters, writers, composers. And we all went and met with them because Minnesota is the only state that has dedicated arts funding in our state constitution.
Oh, wow.
I know it, and this was something that was voted on about 10 years ago, and it was this 25-year referendum to support, it's through this arts and cultural legacy funding. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna get maybe some of these details wrong, but, and 40% of that goes to the arts, but it's also money that goes to the libraries and so they can bring programming in. So, but it's dedicated funding that the people of Minnesota voted on and our representatives voted on. So again, that's one of the reasons that theater is so strong here in the Twin Cities, because our government and our corporations and our audience members appreciate it and want it. And they want it in Moorhead, and they want it in Detroit Lakes, and they want it in the Twin Cities. So they want it in International Falls. So it's pretty great. There's a great theater up in Grand Rapids, Minnesota, and they bring a lot of great programming. The Church Basement Ladies, we always go up there. So they bring a lot of great programming to their people so that the people don't always have to come to the arts. They want to bring the arts to the people. So Minnesota is a pretty great place to be if you're any sort of an artist. And again, we've talked about the Actors Union, whether you're in the union or not, whether you're somebody who has a dream, this is a great place to be able to make art because there's lots of funding available, and they want to share it. So which is, how long have you been here now in Minnesota?
41 years.
Yeah, so clearly you came here, did you come here for work?
Yes, I came here, it was thanks to Bob Newhart. I was on television in Las Vegas, and Bob was a guest on one of my shows, and several times, and he said, you belong in a much bigger market, because in those days, Las Vegas, and sometimes we insert some personal stuff here, but in those days, Las Vegas in 1970 was the 120th market. Now it's about the 24th market, but he said, you belong in a much bigger market. So why don't you see if they need a personality weatherman somewhere? And I answered an ad in Broadcasting Magazine, and it was KSTP. And that's how I got here.
Yeah.
Pardon the voice here, I don't know what's happening. Some demon has gotten into my voice, but anyway, go ahead.
We should have started with vocal warm-ups. Yeah.
Yeah, now I'm better. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Sorry. So anyway, that's how I got here. But during my checkered life, I got to know Jack Valenti, who was the former head of the Motion Picture Association, during my Washington, D.C. days. And I was at a little conference with Jack, and some sweet, naive would-be actress asked him, she said, is it wise for me to go into show business? He said, well, if you like the words no, if you like rejection, yes, go for it quickly. And the sad part is that, and it's taken me a long time to know this, unless sometimes it is personal, mostly 90, well, you would know better than anybody, but 99% of the time when you're rejected for a part, it's not personal. You're just not the type they're looking for.
Here's it is a really tricky balancing act to try and figure out how to process that. Because this word rejection in and of itself is tricky, because sometimes this happens to me twice a day. You know?
Oh my gosh.
So I've decided, and it doesn't always work, but you go, I'm not rejected, because to be rejected, you have to have been accepted first. It'd be like, let me hold your hand. No, I don't want to hold your hand. That's rejection. But if I don't even offer my hand, then I've just been missed. I've just been passed over. Mm-hmm. So sometimes I think, is there a way that I can spin it in my head so it doesn't sound so bad? Like, you can only be rejected if you were first accepted and then rejected. So, Because I also do, here in the Twin Cities, we also have a lot of industrial work, commercial work, voiceovers on camera. So I audition for those things too. I don't get them either. So let's say that I go to 100 auditions, I might get 5 jobs.
Wow.
So the return on investment of time, it's pretty low. So, but that's the nature of the beast. So when some friends of mine who work in corporate America, you know, there were some layoffs and they were like, I'm gonna have to start looking for work, and I'm like, welcome to my life. Because my job, sure, I do theater, I'm a writer, you know, we talked about I'm on this committee. So all of that is great, but my job is looking for work. Wow. My job is looking for work and or creating work. That is what I do. Because as I mentioned way back at the beginning of this conversation, our lives, by their very nature, are sort of itinerant. Like we're always moving, we're always on the edge of being unemployed. And that's the nature of the beast. That's part of what you sign up. You get used to hearing the word no. And it does a number on you. And so there are days when I'm like, I don't have it in me. I can't do it today. Because it's hard not to take it personally, even though it isn't personal, it feels personal. And the other thing is, like in a community like the Twin Cities, we're friends with each other. So if I didn't get the job, somebody that I know and like did get the job. They deserve it. Their family's happy for them, but it doesn't mean I didn't want the job. Yeah. So it's.
The Twin Cities also have been home to so many giants in the industry, be it television, film, whatever. Yeah. When I was Channel 11's entertainment editor, we did a whole series on people from the Twin Cities who had made it. And it was from Jim Arness to Peter Graves to Lonnie Anderson to whomever, and some of whom I had known personally too,
right,
but especially with Lonnie. But and then who came out of the Twin Cities, but weren't from here. One of them, the most famous right now, is Amy Adams, who of course was at Chanhassen, and you see all these people. Years ago, when I was in Idaho Falls on television, I was told to go over to Sun Valley to film Art Linkletter and his family learning how to ski. Well, one of the ladies, who I didn't know then was from the Twin Cities, was Ann Southern. And Ann and I danced the night away once in a place called the Boiler Room in Sun Valley. And it's still on the wall down there, Ann plus Barry, in a little heart-shaped thing that said true love.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And it's still there. Yeah, so it's, so the Twin Cities actors and actresses have been spread around, and it truly is amazing. I only mentioned a few. There are so many more.
Yeah, and it's constantly changing. So just recently, there's a brother-sister that from Minnetonka that I have known since they were in high school. And they are both out in New York / LA, and it's really been fun to sort of watch their careers. And Allison was just recently on an episode of SVU, Law & Order SVU. And I'm not her mother, but I've known her since she was in high school, and I got all weepy. I get so proud of these kids. And you think about it, everybody has to come from somewhere. Yeah. So everybody that you see on Broadway or in a movie or on television, they had to come from somewhere.
Well, Law & Order SVU, this lady was the executive producer for years and years and years, Stephanie Sengupta, from here. And her father, Mr. Sengupta, used to own a Schneider drugstore across from KSTP.
Oh.
And Stephanie has a huge background in law as an attorney, et cetera, et cetera. And Dick Wolf hired her decades ago, literally. And she went on to executive produce Hawaii Five-0 and several other shows. But there's another one on the other side of the camera. Yeah. And she always, my wife is a huge fan of SVU, and every few episodes there's always a reference to Brainerd or to someplace in Minnesota.
Because that's her background. That's so funny.
That's from here,
That's so funny.
So she sneaks it in.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because as you say that, I have heard that, and now I know why. Now I know the source of that. Well, and that's true, and like you said, we think about the people that we see on stage or in front of the camera, but they're all the writers and the executives and the producers and the sound people and the cameramen. They all had to come from somewhere too, and so
Absolutely.
yeah, it's really funny.
Well, there's another one too, who you know, of course. He was an actor too, but fantastic writer with the Naked Gun series, Pat Proft.
Yeah, and he's a Dudley Riggs alumni, and Dudley Riggs Brave New Workshop, and an Instant Theater Company, and Dudley started that back in 1958. And I think Pat Proft is an alumni from there, as am I.
And Al Franken.
And Al Franken, yeah.
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 In fact, Al Franken and Tom Davis, they both years ago gave credit to Dudley Riggs for this all happening because they were on the original Saturday Night Live producing team.
And more recently, I mean, the people that came out of Dudley Riggs. So recently, right now, Cedric Yarbrough, who is on Shameless, he's Speechless. He's from here, and so he's currently right now on it. Great, Melissa Peterman, who's in a lot of stuff. Yeah, and these are then people that people would see in your living rooms. And Tom Gibbous, who is a voiceover on some anime show, and Jim Lickscheidel, who is working all the time around town. So I mean, we have the people that came out of Dudley Riggs. I mean, we've just taken over as writers and performers and stuff. Wow. So it is that, because that was sketch comedy, where it was such a great learning ground, not just for performing but comedy, but writing and working as a team and a lot of improv and stuff. Yeah. So it was a great place to cut your teeth for that.
Well, in some ways, in my opinion, and it's just come into my little brain here, that it's kind of our version of Second City.
Yeah.
And one person who I think did not come out of Dudley Riggs, in fact I'm sure he didn't, but who's been wonderful to me, is Louis Anderson.
Yes.
And Louis had a wonderful idea for me. Sorry to
I'd love to hear
into
it.
this. Yeah, we were at an event last May, and Louis said, "Barry," he said, "you still have it." He said, I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "You still have the energy, et cetera, et cetera." I'll be 82 in August.
You look good.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I have a picture in my attic. Yeah, Dorian Gray.
Yeah, I know, I got it.
So anyway, thank you, thank you. So anyway, he said, I think a lot of people, nostalgia is in now, and retro. He said, I think a lot of people would like to see you do the weather the way you used to do it, writing on the boards and messing it all up and having a lot of fun. So we are actually, as you and I tape this, it will already have debuted on CCX and YouTube. So we're gonna do the weather once a week, called Retro Weather. And
so do you have tapes of that? Do you that you can go back and reference?
Oh yes.
Yeah. And what do you think when you look at that?
Wow, what a great question. Never been asked that before. I'm actually kind of bashful about it.
Yeah.
I've heard artists say that they don't like to see themselves at the reruns of shows and stuff. When I look at it, I kind of look at it in amazement almost, or really? Was that me? You know, and not being, not having false modesty here, but I just, it's a strange feeling. It's a very strange feeling, and to look at it and to think that I was so blessed to have all that happen.
Well, and it's interesting. It's like when you look at an old photo album, and you can look at it, you've got now some years separating. I mean, and realizing that the stuff you were doing was funny, and it was good, and it was clever, and it was fresh.
Thank you.
Do you see that? Do you?
I see it, but I.
Because it's okay. It's like you're talking about somebody else.
Yeah.
You can look at it as and that's the thing, like even as a writer, there comes a point when you have to look at it objectively as if it belongs to somebody else. Because what you created, as now because you're doing it again, you created a product. And it was about you because it came from you, but at the end of the day, this was a product that you found a market for. And that you can just look at objectively and say, I was able to create something that people wanted. So that's not modesty or humility or anything, that's just fact.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Actually, truthfully, this word comes again now to mind anyway, but Thank you. That's a great explanation.
Well, and for you, because this is what it is, I would imagine, because when you're so busy doing it, you're making it, and you're thinking about what you're going to do next, and you're in the middle of it, that you're not sitting there going, I'm not doing this so that I will be famous. I'm doing this because this is something that I feel is worth doing. And when you're in the middle of doing it, because this is definitely true for me, I never stop and sit back and go, that's pretty good, because I'm too busy trying to do the next thing or trying to make it better. And even though you're not originally from Minnesota, this is sort of an innate Minnesotan problem, you know, that we can't ever, you know, sort of pat ourselves on the back and toot our own horn, because that's not the right way to be. But you know, you deserve to go, I did something pretty great, pretty unique. That
Yeah, as I say, it's not false modesty. Sometimes I get embarrassed
Sure, I get it.
when people say, gee, you were terrific or whatever. And I say, so no, not
I
me,
know.
no.
See, it's that stupid Minnesota thing. It's seeped into your bloodstream.
That's right.
Because sometimes I think, not that I want to be this person, but would it be easier if I was like, I know, yeah, pretty great. Like that's just, because there are people in this world who do walk around,
Oh,
you know, with their
yes.
feathers all out going, I'm pretty amazing. And because they believe it, other people believe it too. And I think about that, like when we talked about going to auditions. If I had a little bit more of that when I went into auditions, would I be more successful? Depending on how you define success. I may or may not get the job, but would I feel better if I walked in there going, I'm pretty amazing. I have this friend named Shelly, and she goes into an audition and she plays the tape in her head that goes, I'm amazing. You're so lucky to have me here.
Wow.
And the tape I usually play is, thank you so much for having me here. I'm so sorry to be taking your time. I won't be too long. I'll just get out here real quick so you can see the other talented people. That's not the right tape to play. Sometimes you go, I'm pretty great. You're so lucky. You've been waiting all day to see me.
I love it. For me, it would be a combination of both.
Sure, yeah.
You know, a little humility here, but maybe a little bit of, yeah, I think I'm okay.
Yeah, that's
Maybe.
great. That's great.
Yeah,
That's good.
Jerome Robbins' real fast story. We got about a minute here, but once I was sent up to audition for West Side Story, the original Broadway play, but the agent, Dick Van Patten's mother, as a matter of fact, didn't tell me what the play was about. So he said, tell me about yourself, kid. So I tell him about myself. He said, you're perfect. He said, except you sound just like Jimmy Stewart.
Oh.
If she had told me to talk like a tough kid, yeah, I could have talked like a tough kid, and I would have gotten the part. Which I was told by friends of mine with whom I went to school who were in the play and in the movie.
Yeah.
But
You're like, tell me what you want and let me do that.
That's
yeah,
right.
That's right.
I can't thank you enough. Greta, it's wonderful. Greta Grosch, and please see her in what right now?
Well, by the time, I'm in a show right now called Pop Goes the Noggin, but that's going to be closed pretty soon. But always look for the Church Basement Ladies. We're around, like I said, we're working on another one, number 8, that opens in November. So I'm around.
That's great.
Playing
Thanks.
a middle-aged Norwegian Lutheran.
Thanks a million. And my book is on Amazon. I hope you take a look at it. It's a little different than you think it might be. See you later.